Om Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharma swarupine avatara varishthaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Sritva Pranamami Mubhurmu Namasri Etirajaya Vivekananda Suri Satya Sukasvarupaya Swamini Tapa. Sri Ramakrishna was seated with his devotees in the drawing room of Ramakrishna in Calcutta. It was between 1 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Since Colonel Vishwanath lived in that neighborhood, the master intended to visit him before going to see Keshav at the Lily Cottage. So Thakur generally will start for Calcutta and finish 3 or 4 visits and then only come back. Because it's every time to go to Calcutta, you need to arrange a vehicle and somebody has to come and take him and all that. So normally you would combine visits to 3 or 4, very good devotees and then come back. Nearby, they will fix like that. A number of neighbors and other friends of Ramakrishna had been invited to meet Ramakrishna. They were all eager to hear his words. Master, God and His glory. This universe is His glory. People see His glory and forget everything. They do not see God, whose glory is His world. All seek to enjoy woman and gold, but there is too much misery and worry in that. So God says, the people are busy seeing the glory manifestation. They very little think of the creator or the person who was responsible. Quite often it happens because the glory and manifestation is just visible outside, easily accessible by our senses. But to think of God, you have to go deeper. It's not possible to know God like that. So that requires contemplation, that requires sadhana, that requires not only that, it requires rejecting the glory. If someone very dear comes to you and comes dressed in the most beautiful clothes, and you're busy only examining the clothes, you'll pay very little attention to that person. That person would not matter. You're busy only admiring the clothes and the dress and the jewelry. So you need to go a little deeper if you have to really know the Creator or God that way. This world is like the whirlpool of Visalakshi. There's a small stream near Thakur's birthplace, but so much of these whirlpools, Ghurni Jal as they call in Bangla, people are apt to get drowned. It's not visible at all, but it's so deep. Looks like a very small, tiny stream. Once a boat gets into there, there's no hope of its escape. Again, the world is like a thorny bush. You have hardly freed yourself from one set of thorns before you find yourself entangled in another. So if a single thorn pricks you, you can address it, you can take it out, you can take time and all that. But if you really enter a thorny bush, what happens? You think that you extricated yourself from one set, by the time another set has already caught you. So the world is like that, full of distractions, attractions. Once you enter a labyrinth, it's very difficult to get out. Living in the world, a man becomes seared as it were. Simply, cut, bruise all over. So, the devotee. Then what is the way, sir? Most probably Master Masha is asking. Because he is also very much afflicted by what's happening in the world. It's a terrible family and disputes and so on. He suffered very much in the house. So obviously he's always eager to seek solution from Thakur. Prayer and the company of holy men. You cannot get rid of an ailment without the help of a physician. But it's not enough to be in the company of religious people only for a day. should constantly seek for it, for the disease has become chronic. So this solution Thakur always gives sadhu sangha, a satsang and prarthana. So sadhu sangha is actually for the, it's more for the external aspect, more for the senses, our indriyas, etc., to keep them in check. Otherwise they go here, there, so many places. So if you are in the company of sadhus, physically it's that way. And then the mind starts also gravitating towards something deeper. So both body and mind are taken care of when you go for satsang. And then obviously only in satsang it's possible to pray deeply. So he says it's not enough just once in a month you do satsang. So it has to be very often, frequently, because he says the disease is chronic. Again, you can't understand the pulse rightly unless you live with a physician. So, it's not enough you just casually have satsang. If you have really the company of holy for a long time, constantly, again and again, what happens? You get to know the nuances of living a spiritual life, how to stay away from distractions, how to stay away from bondages, how to stay away from attachments. All those things you learn only through by a closer contact, closer proximity, etc., etc. Otherwise, just casually once in a way will not make much of a difference. So he says, if you just meet a doctor once in a way, you can't know how to read the pulse, how to find out nothing. But you're constantly moving around with him, and slowly you come to know what is the method. Moving with him constantly, you learn to distinguish between the pulse of phlegm and the pulse of bile. Devotee. What is the good of holy company? Satsang mein kya hota hai? What is the benefit? It begets earning for God. It begets love of God. Nothing whatever is achieved in spiritual life without earning. By constantly living in the company of holy men, the soul becomes restless for God. Because you see, one thing is, if people are really, someone is really holy and evolved like that spiritually, his very presence, you feel uplifted. So people go to great sadhus. When you find someone who is really evolved in spiritual life, the very company will give you that clearly that sensation. If you are even a very ordinary type of sadhaka, still if you are into sadhana, if you really want spiritual life, when you met an evolved person, the very vibration, the very touch, the very proximity, the very nearness will give you signals in your radar. Oh, he is the person. And also, because when you see such a person, obviously such a person is not going to spend his time in useless manner. So clearly, it's like, we think good things are also contagious. We know bad things are all very contagious and very quickly they affect us. But even good habits, good pursuits. When you see someone like that, you also feel, oh, I should also try. Why not be like that? So that is the benefit of satsang. The mind gravitates towards God. The earning is like the state of mind of man as someone ill in the family. His mind is in a state of perpetual restlessness, thinking how the sick person may be cured. If someone is ill at home and you're a caring person, not a careless person, and you are constantly thinking how you can bring relief, how this person can be cured of illness, disease. So obviously, such a person does not keep quiet, constantly finding out this doctor, this source, whichever would work. Similarly, if you are restless for God, you will not just rest content with one practice or going to one place or something like that. Somehow, again and again, you will be tempted to attempt to make an initiative. Or again, We should feel a yearning for God like the yearning of a person who has lost his job and is wandering from one office to another in search of work. So desperate. Job is gone. What will wife and children or the family members, what will they eat? How will they survive? So they are very much disturbed. If he's rejected at a certain place, there's no vacancy, he goes there again the next day and inquires, is there any vacancy too? Doesn't want to take any chance. Maybe vacancy might have come. If I don't go today, I might miss it. That kind of a urgency. There is another way. Earnestly praying to God. God is our own. We should say to Him, "Oh God, what is your nature? Reveal Thyself to me. Thou must show Thyself to me, for why else Thou hast created me." So this is like, another kind of purjita bhakti, demanding from God. No, you must reveal yourself. Why have you created? You are responsible. So naturally, it all depends upon how we feel towards God, no? See, to some people we can say, when you go to somebody very dear, very close, hey, Bana, I want to eat. Where is it? What is there in the kitchen? I want to see that. Because you are intimate. But general friends also, do you go and see, what is there in the kitchen? I want to see. I want to eat that. We don't say. Whatever they give, it's okay. But someone is very intimate, you take the liberty of going inside the kitchen or the wardrobe or whatever it is, trying to say, what is it? I want to see. What did you buy in the letters? Like that. So if God is intimate, you can make this demand. No, you must reveal yourself to me. But Sikh devotees once said to me, God is full of compassion. I said, why should we call him compassionate? He is our creator. What is there to be wondered at? He is kind to us. Parents bring up their children. Do you call that an act of kindness? They must act that way. Therefore, it forces or demands on God. Is our father and mother, isn't he? So it depends upon your attitude. If you're sure about God, that He is the creator, He is responsible for everything, certainly you can ask. So it depends upon how much you feel that intimacy. If the son demands his patrimony and gives up food and drink in order to enforce his demand, then the parents hand his share over to him 3 years before the legal time. So demanding is a Baba, legal time. Or when the child demands some pies from his mother, and says again, "Mother, give me a couple of pies. I beg you on my knees." Then the mother, seeing his earnestness and unable to bear it anymore, tosses the money. Because this example would apply in the ancient olden days. There is another benefit it helps one cultivate discrimination between real and the unreal. God alone is real. It is to say the eternal substance, and the world is unreal. It is to say transitive. So what happens when you stay in the company of holy. See, we learn from observing others, seeing others. So we find that this person is not interested in many of the things which interest the normal people always. People are running after all that. But this person is. So what is the difference? This person clearly discriminates between real and unreal. What is transitory and what is permanent. So always wants to concentrate on that which is eternal and long lasting. So all that normally if you see 99.99% of all our engagements are all with things which are ephemeral and transitory and impermanent nature. So slowly we understand, see no point if you any amount of time you spend, it's like just pouring something down the drain. Nothing is going to happen at all. As soon as a man finds that his mind is wandering away to the unreal, should apply discrimination. So when of course, there are one of the several practices Ramkrishna always says that discriminate. When the mind goes after something, try to find out What is it? Why am I getting attracted? How is it going to benefit me? For what time? Maybe for a few hours, maybe for a few days. Why should I bother? Why should I waste my time? So this is called the discrimination between the real and the unreal. So he gives a very nice example. The moment an elephant stretches out its trunk to eat a plantain tree in a neighbor's garden, it gets a blow from the iron goad of the driver. Mahut. Huh? It stretches its trunk while going, suddenly finds something attractive. Immediately it gets blows. So what we can do, we can also immediately give blows to our mind. Where are you going? Where are you wandering? A neighbor. All must only, various names. Neighbor, a devotee. Why does a man have sinful tendencies? It's a very good question. Why all those negative thoughts, tendency to commit sin, etc.? Why do they come? Where from they originate? He says, Master Thakur replies, in God's creation, there are all sorts of beings. He has created bad men as well as good men. It is He who gives us good tendencies, and it is He again who gives us evil tendencies. So ultimately, of course, story doctrine will also come to the idea of the previous birth and samskaras and karma phala, what we did earlier and all that. But ultimately, if you trace everything, Thakur often uses this view of the world, that is a leela, a playground, God's playground, so to say. So there he has created various things for the sake of nice enjoyment. See, supposing, you write a play, a drama, there are only nice things. Oh, a very good, nice man was born, he studied, he got a good job, then he led a family, and he died. Will anyone see that plot? It should have villains, it should have killings, it should have dacoity, it should be beatings and kidnappings and this and that and lot. Oh, it's so exciting. So God also wants to make this like that. So He creates various kinds of people. Very good people who come for His Tat Padam and some others who are not interested like that. All put together. So he says, then he's asking a question. In that case, we aren't responsible for our sinful actions, are we? God Himself has created good and bad people. Whatever we do, it's His creation ultimately. He's responsible. A good question. Then Thakur answers, sin begets its own result. This is God's law. Won't you burn your tongue if you chew a chili? In his youth, Mathur led a rather fast life, so he suffered from various diseases before his death. So he says, whatever it is, somewhere else he would explain, even the tendency to do good things, the tendency to do, it's all given by him. So again, somewhere he will give that beautiful example that the elephant Narayan and the Mahut Narayan or the driver Narayan. Says, both are like that. So you cannot say that it is. So in his mind, the both tendencies, see, it's a very, very, very fine dividing line. How much is our own free will, how much is we are conditioned and it's God's will or grace or whatever it is. There is a line. But, on one side of it, there is scope for initiative. There is scope for leading a great life. See, as against that are our tendencies, our past karmas, our birth, our other things which are pulling us maybe in one direction. But apart from that, there is something, some tendencies, some power, some capacity, some leanings towards sadhana, doing good, leading a wonderful life. It's also there. So when the samskaras and the bad things overpower us, we go that way. Again, we commit the same thing, spend this time same way again. So in turn, that creates more such effects. You do something that will get multiplied. But if you are on this side and we do prayer, japa or satsang or something like that, then that also gets multiplied. And slowly that reduces the other samskaras, the effects of other evil things, the past, etc. And that is how one progresses in spiritual life. It is, if you chew chili, will not your tongue be burnt? So whatever you do, that means ultimately you are responsible for your actions. You cannot say that it's all God did it. This famous that story again. Some tricks is somewhere else. A man, he created a very beautiful garden, and suddenly one cow was about to come and eat away one of the plants. He took a stone and beat through at the cow. It died. So actually, the Papa, the sin of Go Hatya caught him. So, but he was very nonchalant, thinking, oh, so then Indra came in the form of a Brahmana, and he was, who did all the, oh, I only planted this, where from I brought that, like it explaining the whole garden. And when it comes near the cows, who killed it? Oh, Indra killed it. Oh, Indra killed it. Then all these good things you did. So like that, we always try to say, oh, it's all due to our karma. The Bhagavan Richa, when it comes to negative, when it comes to anything we don't want, we appropriate safely all that to God and the samskaras and past and all. Whatever is good, I did. No, you have to take both. So it says, one may not realize this in truth. In youth, I have looked into the heart in the kitchen of the Kali temple where logs are being burned. At first, the wet wood burns rather well. It does not seem then that it contains much moisture. But when the wood is sufficiently burnt, all the moisture runs back to one end. At last, water squirts from the fuel and puts out the fire. So initially, when one is very young, one is full of energy and vigor and so on, and one does not bother about all that. Keeps on doing just like that. But then slowly, all the accumulated effects, they come and kind of haunt us when we are old and no longer able to exercise so much control over body and mind. Then, of course, he comes to the other. So one should be careful about anger, passion, and greed. Kama, Krodha, and Lobha. Why? Because, you see, then anything, all our passions, all our tendencies, as far as possible, if one is constantly vigilant, it's possible to control them to a great extent. So here he says, see, take for instance the case of Hanuman. In a fit of anger, he burned Ceylon. At last he remembered that Sita was living in the Ashoka grove. Then he began to tremble lest the fire should injure her. So quite often, it's happens to us. Thoughtlessly we do something and then we regret, oh, I wish I had not done it. Oh, somehow I couldn't control myself. It happened like that. All that. So it's very important to restrain. So he says, neighbor, why has God created wicked people? Master, that is his will, his play, Leela. In his Maya, there exists avidya as well as vidya. Darkness is needed too. It reveals all the more the glory of light. There is no doubt that anger, lust, and greed are evils. Why then has God created them? In order to create saints. A man becomes a saint by conquering the senses. So, unless there is a contrast, you will never realize his value. If in a place there are only good people, nobody would value them. But only, we all shine only in comparison, ultimately. So, whatever it is, only when you see the opposite or the lesser side of anything, then it comes to us, we know clearly what it is. Moreover, if Thakur says Leela, in Leela there is a need for a very big variety of people, of things, of circumstances, everything. Otherwise, it would be completely monotonous. But if you understand the whole thing as Leela, then you not only are happy, you participate also without any fear, without any apprehension, without any feeling of negativity. Because supposing you are part of a big drama troupe. So you are asked to play the role of, say, Ravana. But if you know it is a drama, you have no problem. You want to show Ravana at his best. So angry, so cruel, so wicked. You want to show yourself so that you get the first prize. The first prize is given to the best actor, not to the good actor. It's not given to Sita, Rama. It might be given to Hanuman, it might be given to Ravana, whoever plays his part best. So in this world also, so that's why at that time, you don't hesitate. You want to put on the best show of Ravana. Do you ever think, oh, how can I be wicked? How can I kidnap Sita and all that? It's all sin. Do you think like that? No, I will do my best. I will shine as Ravana. So in this world also, if we consider ourselves as part of this Leela play of God, then we try to perform our role to the best of our ability, so that the play goes on beautifully. We don't resist, we don't try to put obstacles, we don't try to behave funnily. So, once you know it's a play, nothing can touch you like that. Oh, it's okay. We know it will go away. It's all very temporary. So, a man becomes a saint by conquering the senses. Is there anything impossible for a man who has subdued his passions, can even realize God through his grace? Again, see how his whole play of creation is perpetuated through lust. So everything is a purpose in everything. Otherwise, creation would not happen at all. Wicked people are needed too. At one time, the tenants of an estate become unruly. The landlord had to send Golak Chaudhary, who was a ruffian. He was such a harsh administrator that the tenants trembled at the very mention of his name. So, naturally, so that what Thakur says, no, there's space for everything. Everything is created so as to make the game of world beautiful and full of variety. Say lion hunts much of the lesser animals, they die. You see, when you see, some nice video. This was shot in African safari or something like that. On one hand, it looks very cruel. The way the leopard, they chase the fawn or the deer and kill it and eat it raw. You see, on one hand, you shudder. But at the same time, you know that without that, the forest would look absolutely, it would look meaningless. How much people go there, spend hours and hours trying to sit on the top of a tree or somewhere to see when can they see a leopard, particularly when it is hunting something. We want that to happen. So in the play of the world also, all the scenes, the good scenes, bad scenes, village scenes, everything is necessary. Otherwise, the play would look very ordinary and a commonplace. There is need of everything. Once Sita said to her husband, Rama, it would be grand if every house in Ayodhya were a mansion. I find many houses old and dilapidated. But my dear, said Rama, if all the houses were beautiful ones, what would the masons do? Rajmistri ki work. What will be the role of the masons or Rajmistris? If every house is perfect, it's a nice mansion, then they'll all be jobless. If all the houses are like that, God has created all kinds of things. He's created good trees, poisonous plants and weeds as well. Among the animals, there are good, bad, and all kinds of creatures: tigers, lions, snakes, and so on. So, on the whole, it looks very nice, a variety. So, you go to a zoo, there are only snakes, or only parrots, only one. Whole you 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers roaming about, find only parrots. Do nothing. You come away. So you want parrots, you want crocodiles, you want lions, you want tigers, you want elephants. Yes, there is danger, but still we want that. So in the Leela Leela will be complete only when you see really the manifestation of so many aspects. Sir, is it ever possible to realize God by leading the life of a husband? Neighbor, again same question. Master asked this question number of times. He was not sure. because it was very kind of deluding. See, here I find it's so wonderful. When I stay in his company, the mind is so elevated. But when I go back home, again it is back to square one. Again the same. There's no improvement at all. Then what's the idea? What happens ultimately then? I'm always like that. If there is, if so naturally, that the great question. We also knew after all one day Krishna will not be there physically. Then what will happen? Can I realize God? In spite of all that, the background. See, that's why Master's life is guide, hope, assurance, everything for us. Because he started from such difficult surroundings. So if you really understand his life, we know it is possible. But then we also saw how he did it, how he was prepared to really humble himself before Sri Ramakrishna. He was scolded, he was insulted, he was really hammered down in the beginning, but he stood the test. Sri Ramakrishna was perhaps testing him. But he said, no, I don't mind. He is such a great Mahapurusha. What he says is true. He writes in many places. What he says is true. I know nothing. What can he teach others? So, only when you go with that attitude, it's possible to realize God. That's why Yam is such a great forerunner, an example for all of us, because we know that what was his condition and how he became transformed. Then his very touch, his very presence would inspire people, and he was a celebrity, so to say. So he says, the one must live. Then what is it possible? He says certainly, but as I said just now, one must live in holy company and pray unceasingly. Must live in a holy company, satsanga is necessary, and also prayer unceasingly. There should not be any break. So actually, because of the nature of our work and the way we function and all that, quite often we forget the breaks. But how this continuity can be kept up. Some of seniors always refer to a very small book called Practice of the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence. It's a very small book, maybe about 60 pages, something like that. So there he talks about praying unceasingly without, because his mind was not cluttered, and because he was so happy, he was asked to work in the kitchen. See how often mothers complain, oh, morning to night I have to cook and this and that. It's a blessing to work in the kitchen rather than in the computers, because the mind is absolutely free. You can do it physically. Same time you can remember God, think of God, take His name, do japa, do some small little singing. Everything is possible. But if you work before a computer or something like that, your whole mind goes away. It's bad. So he was given duty in kitchen, this Brother Lawrence. He served decades there, and he came to be recognized as an extraordinary saint later on. So there, he talks about praying unceasingly without any break. One should weep for God. When the impurities of the mind are thus washed away, one realizes the God. So when you really shed tears for God, in those tears purify your heart. Now he gives an explanation. The mind is like a needle covered with mud, and God is like magnet. And God is like a magnet. The needle cannot be united with the magnet unless it is free from mud. See, they are so near. Tears wash away the mud, which is nothing but lust, anger, greed, and other evil tendencies, and the inclination to worldly enjoyments as well. As soon as the mud is washed away, the magnet attracts the needle. That is to say, man realizes God. Only the pure in heart see God. Blessed are the pure in heart, or they should see God, says Jesus. Dr. also says the same thing. In fact, he tells somewhere, some devotee, see, if your heart inside is so full of dirt and squalor, how can I go and sit there? I want to visit you. But unless you purify that, how can I go to that place? You can't ask me to come and sit on dirt. So he says, a fever patient has an excess of watery element in the system. What can quinine do for him unless that is removed? So this is a very, very beautiful example. Thakur, I think in several other places also he quotes this. Now what is this? He says, see, there are several important small items to be noticed here. One, he says, the mind is like a needle covered with mud. So that means what? Originally the mind is pure. So that is your real nature. So as an example, God assures that whatever accretions, accumulations, they're all artificial, come later. They're not original. Originally, in your real nature, you're pure, you're extraordinary. There's no doubt about it. That's your real nature. Now there's a coating of mud is there. Because of that, God, who is a magnet, is not able to attract the mind. So now what does it mean? That means God is in you, but is not somewhere else. See, if there's a distance of so much, there's no question of attraction. Even if there's no mud, I keep a needle in my room. The magnet is in Ireland. Will it attract? So obviously, God is so near us, within us. It's not far away. You don't have to seek Him elsewhere. Again, He gives you the example. God is within you, God is near you. So that your mind and God are in such close proximity. Once the mud is removed, the mind can easily get attracted to God. That means it's near also. It's not far away. It's quite close to God, near God, but unable to join Him or link up with Him because there is an accumulation of dirt, etc. Now, again, the nature of the dirt is such that it's easily water soluble. Water can easily dissolve. Supposing there is something, some rust or some other very bad accumulation that cannot be washed away by water, then you have to go and search for some acid or for some other solvent and all that. Then it's a big problem. But it is easily soluble accumulation. See, when he says, the lust, anger, greed, and evil tendency which people shudder, is very big. They're also just like that. Can all be easily washed away, removed, because the tears, although it's water, still they are extremely powerful, extremely cheap. See, otherwise, our lust, anger, greed, and bad tendencies is small things. They are terrible. But it says they can be easily washed away by the tears from your eyes. So again, first of all, the accumulation, the accretion, the dirt is water soluble. It's a great relief for us. We don't have to look for any other solvent externally. And more than that, the tears are within you. It's in your own eyes. So you don't have to see even search for water elsewhere. Your own tears, when you weep for God, they trickle down. And in the process, they wipe out the mud on the needle and the needle gets quickly attracted to God. So much is there. So, unless the heart is purified, unless the mind is purified, it will not be able to attract God. And for that, a very simple solution is our own tears, which is very easily within us, and that can be brought from within and used to clean the needle, thereby the needle of mind or needle of buddhi or needle of the jivatma gets attracted to God or the supreme power. Why shouldn't one realize God by living in the world? Why it is not possible? It's only a question of, the circumstance. For some people, this was there. For some people, something else is there. But the place or the external things don't matter at all. Because ultimately, you are seeking that which is transcendental. What does it matter? What is the connection with this world? It's only for a very small time. The moment you are elevated, the moment you advance in spiritual life, immediately you go to that layer from which it hardly matters whether it's in the house or in the forest or in the cave or anywhere. All those things don't matter at all because you are at a far higher level, improved level. So the external circumstances might help somebody, no doubt they are good, but they are not as important as some of the other things, like having the basics about spiritual life. But as I said, one must live in the holy company, pray to God, weeping for His grace, and now and then go into solitude. Unless the plants in the footpath are protected at first by fences, they're destroyed by clutter. So if you allow yourself, it's very necessary to protect our spiritual tendencies, spiritual inclinations. One should not just spend in the company of people who are of a totally different nature. That will completely destroy your spiritual tendencies. One has to be very strong. It is in the initial years to take care to protect our spiritual leanings or tendencies. He says, when the plants on a footpath are protected first by fences, unless they are protected, they will be destroyed by cat. Again, the Master is asking, the outers too will have vision of God. Only same question. A lady asked, can they realize God? Now he's asking, will they not have vision of God? So he's so possessed with that idea. Master, everybody will surely be liberated, but one should follow the instructions of the Guru. Now he goes to the next idea. Definitely you will have realization, but it's necessary to follow. You need a guide. Otherwise, for any learning, for any vidya, anything you need a guide. Why not for spiritual life? Spiritual life also needs a guide. So he says, Guru's instructions. If one follows your devious path, one will suffer in trying to retrace one's steps. It takes a long time to achieve liberation. It doesn't go to take a wrong turn or something. Then the GPS says, now take a new turn. And unless there are cuts, you just can't take U-turn in America like that. You have to go back and long, and then through another exit, then finally you come back to the old place. By the time some half an hour or 40 minutes gone. So he says, unless you are careful, then it takes a long time to retrace one's steps, corrective measures. So everyone may not get such a guru. Why there's much of delay? Because they get distracted. They take wrong routes, the wrong exits, and they have to travel to come back to the next spot like that. It takes a long time to achieve liberation. A man may fall to obtain it in this life. Perhaps you realize God only after many births. So it doesn't matter. See, if you begin the spiritual journey in all earnestness, if you know that this is my goal, I have to achieve. Now in this body, as much strength is there, as much is there, I will do. But if you can't complete it, I will continue. So that you should be in at least in such a state so that you have to take a rebirth. You will do at Suchinam, Srimatam, Gehe, Yoga Prishto Vijayate. As Gita says, you will be born as a Yoga Prishta. One who could not complete the spiritual ideal, but devoted to it. Then they say, you'll be again born as Yoga Prishta. In such good family, maybe such parents, such pious people, again, maybe they're all initiated devotees of Thakur, Mahan, Swamiji and Mahapushmara, whatever it is. And you can continue your sadhana like that. So, sages like Janaka performed worldly duties. They performed them bearing God in their midst. As a dancing girl dances, keeping jars or trays on her head. So, this King Janaka's examples Ramakrishna very often gives. But Janaka was a great Brahmagyani. So once he had this jnana, then it was not at all. There is no sense of me or I, my property, my kingdom. I have to take decision, manage this whole dandadira. All that were gone. So there was no further accumulation of karma phala for it. So they bearing their minds as a dancing girl does, keeping moves. So I think in North India, not many have seen how women walk with some 8 or 10 pots on their head, one over the other. They're just walking. Sometimes even they are really casually talking to someone going with them or someone asking them for somebody. They're not afraid, oh, they will break. If they break, my neck also will be broken. They have no fear. They go very casually. But because they're so established in that balance, so they are never disturbed at all. They know that they will make it. Haven't you seen how women in North India walk, talking and laughing while carrying water pitchers on their heads? They've kept the pitcher. It's so big and full of water. It can fall and break. But they are very casual. They are not under any tension at all. They are walking very smoothly. They are talking to neighbors and all that. That shows what? It shows how easily they bear the world. World is never a burden for them. Although they are carrying a big picture on their head, they are very much detached. They know it's okay just to go on like that. Rose, pani ke liye mere jana hai, I have to go and bring water and all that. But because they are not attached that way, so they are able to carry on very happily. You just refer to the instruction of Guru. How shall we find him? How to find a Guru? It's a big question. Because it's always easy to, think that we should have a great Guru and all that. How to find out? So various Guru is now, I don't know where he is, how to find out Guru. It's very difficult. But still we should do it. He says, anyone and everyone cannot be a Guru. A huge timber floats on the water and can carry animals. But a piece of worthless wood sinks. The man sits on it and drowns him. So the Guru's capacity should be like that. There are a lot of things said in this Shastras about Guru. He should be Srotriya, should be Brahmanishta, should be Akamata, should be well versed in scriptures, should live their life according to Shastras, should be free from desires and so on and so forth. It's all wonderful. But naturally, therefore in every age, God incarnates himself as a Guru to teach humanity. Satchidananda alone is a Guru. So, that's why always a bigger personality comes. So you can accept him as a Guru, although at the intermediary level, you might have someone else. But according to that parampara, so there's an advantage in this Ramakrishna system. Because whoever gives you, appreciates you, is your Guru, there's only for the time being. We all know that Thakur alone is the real Guru. And he will do everything for us. So the rest are all temporary for the time being. This is how it is and so on. So that's it. There's no problem. So Satchidananda alone is the Guru. What is knowledge and what is the nature of this ego? God alone is the doer and none else. That is knowledge. What is knowledge? I am nothing. God who has created, He is preserving, He is doing everything. He is the doer. I am not the doer. I am a mere instrument in His hands. Nimitta. Therefore, I say to Mother, the operator, man the machine. Your operator, Yaman Chalao, Temni Choli, sure way you operate, fast forward, slow forward, or backward, sideward. Whatever you do, it's okay. It's your choice. There's one great beauty in that. Therefore says, thou art the indweller, and I am the house. Thou art the driver, I am the carriage. I move as thou must move. I do as thou makest me do. I speak as thou makest me speak. Not I, but thou. Naham. Again, somebody will give a very good example also. Here it is not given. How the cow used to give hamba. how it is cut, and then its entails are taken out, and
Oh,
then
I thought you didn't know.
finally they make the dhanush. Then before shooting the arrow, when if it's tied tightly, if they extend the string, that makes a beautiful sound. And with that, they do the cotton separation of the cotton from the other base. Tuhu, 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 tuhu. So it is from that till then there is no escape for the poor calf. It is born, it is cut, it dies, it begins to go. All that is beaten, anything. Finally, when it says tuhu, 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 then it travails here. So that means as long as you have this ego, I am the doer, I am doing. So naturally the good and bad also come to you. If I say I created this building, tomorrow they say crack, they'll say, Arey, aapne banaya, crack kya hai? So the moment you appropriate the doership to you, the good and bad will just automatically come. That's how you get entangled in Maya, in repeated births, in repeated accumulations, karma phalas. So when you feel that I am not the doer, God alone is the doer. So then you say, I will do my sadhana. Whatever work is to be done, it is done. But done as an offering unto you. I am not claiming any doership. I am not claiming any ownership. I am there. But whichever way you make me do, I do. Because you have to ensure that, and also the other circumstances, everything is determined by God. So he says, I do as thou makest me do. I speak as thou makest me do. Not I, but thou. So it's all God. I'm just a mere instrument in his hands. That kind of a resignation, that it frees us from the responsibility that I'm doing. I have to show that it has to end that way. It is to end, it will end. Otherwise it will not end. So that sense of detachment will come into your life, and you can be very happy. From Prawn Krishna's house, the master went to Kadal Vishwanath's, and from there, the lily cottage. So let Thakur go. Let us also go. Om Shanti 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 Om Tatsa Sri Ram Krishna Namastu. Says our Abid, you can ask some questions if you want. Advanced pages. Go.
Maharaj, which page did you finish in? Which page number did you finish in?
And we finished with 98.
98. Okay. Maharaj, any of you have any questions? Maharaj, I have a question. When you were explaining that Leela, the God's Leela, so at a macro level, it is, we can understand, but when it at a micro level, when you said that the presence of the hero, the villain, the rogue, the good and bad, everything is needed. At the macro level, that's very appreciable. But when it's a macro level, then in your family, someone turns out to be a villain, then how do we then react?
Yeah, you see, the point is, first of all, if you understand everything is Leela, then at the individual life also you will understand slowly. It cannot be that at the macro level there's Leela, at the micro level it's affecting us individually. It cannot be, no. It's not logical.
Right.
Everything is part of Leela, is one thing.
Exactly.
Now the second thing is, see, that's a very pragmatic way of approaching life also. Quite often, we fret and fume and we bang our heads trying to change the other person, nothing is happening.
Right.
We only lose our peace of mind.
Yeah.
On the other hand, see, that doesn't mean that we will not do a duty or we will not do whatever is to be done, we do. But there is an underlying belief, a sense of surrender to Thakur.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is your wish, Thakur, is happening there. You please see that I am not affected. See that I am not blown over by this crisis. I know it's happening. I'm trying, but it's not happening. So please bless me. I'm able to tide over this. It should not affect me personally. It should not affect my sadhana. It should not affect my practices. So that way we have to pray and live with it. We can't change. See, it happens, it would happen. See, why it happened, we don't know. It's happening. It's very extremely good. Suddenly overnight we hear all kinds of things. Something has happened. So surprises. Life always throws surprises like that. But no, if you are sincere and if you pray like that, it's possible that we might be able to tide over the crisis and difficulty much more, because then there will be a certain sense of resignation in the heart, and we'll become more prayerful. But please take care of it. I know it's terrible, it's difficult, I'm suffering, maybe it's painful for me. Let it be there, but see that it doesn't affect my deeper inner life, and then I'm able to continue with whatever I do. If one is a serious sadhaka, probably I think that is what it would lead them to.
And can I also pray for the other person?
Definitely, we should. Obviously, we should.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
In the present day concept of in mission, I'm talking about Ramakrishna mission. So normally the mantra diksha is given in a batch of, let's say, 40-50 people. So we don't have the access to Gurudev as we feel. Normally it is not accessible. So don't you feel that we should have there's a term called Upaguru or something like that, so that day to day?
Yeah, see, no, it is not officially declared, but actually the place where you are, you can always consult the Swami in charge, the head in charge, and talk to him about your spiritual life and get your doubts clarified to the extent possible. Ultimately, of course, you can always go somewhere other. You will meet your guru. He'll be in Belurmat or some center. Definitely you can meet. Not that it's difficult to meet. It's not impossible. But largely, the local head is supposed to help you in all activities of spiritual life.
But Swamiji, okay.
Yes. Yes.
Sir, yeah, actually, Maharajji, like, see, I stay in Dubai, and in Dubai we don't have any Ramakrishna mission, or there's no Maharajji there. So now in that case, when I feel I really need to talk to someone, what do I do? I pick up the phone and call, or what do I do? This is what.
Yeah, that is what you can do. See, one thing is, in Dubai also, every year at least 4 or 5 distinct swamis come.
Yes.
So you can talk to them. That is one thing.
Yes.
Or you can combine together, invite someone from nearby.
Yes.
You really feel that such company would benefit you. Instead of waiting for them to come on their way and break their journey there, you can directly call
initiated.
in India. You can organize yourself and do for such that might do.
I can give chance to others.
Talk to somebody over
These
phone.
people who come to the meeting,
they'll be happy to help you solve your
they should get chance to ask the questions.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Namaste.
Sumita?
I'm organizing them, getting them.
You are
Maharaj Kruna.
Yeah.
Maharaj, this is a practical question that I wanted to ask you. You just said that whenever there is a situation that you are dealing with, you just pray and leave it to pray to Thakur that he helps you to sort out that problem. But this is a question for us at our age where we have adult children. How do we deal with these problems in life? Because there are many situations where we think that children are going towards something that we think would create problems for them later on in life.
Yeah.
So how do we?
Yeah. See,
because they are adults now.
Yeah. Sumita, beyond the point, we can't assume responsibility for anyone else. We can't assume responsibility even for ourselves, let alone others. So, if you have done your best, if they have been given the best kind of grounding when they grew up, expose them to the right things the right way, you must allow them to work out their own samskars. You can just call them and quietly tell them, this is this, you're doing this, perfectly already do it. But I think you can note down today's date in your diary and write down my observation. I think this is what you'll end up with if you do like this. But it's perfectly fine for me. I'm not going to live to see that. But please remember, in your own interest,
It's not good
if you
therapy.
change track,
Very different.
that may help you. You can try.
This is
That virtually you
I'm
can.
not in the talk. I'm talking
Beyond that,
about
it's not
questions
possible.
people are asking. I agree.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah. Yes,
Lord
one,
Maharaj.
three. Yes.
Maharaj, I have a small question.
Yeah.
I have bhakti, but it is not that kind of vyakulata which Thakur says
Yeah.
that you will weep for
Doesn't
the
matter.
God.
No, doesn't matter.
When I pray also, I don't
Yeah.
feel so much emotional about
No,
the
no, no.
God. I do it
Tanasri,
very...
see, this is not something, this is not something which can be artificially made up. So you try sincerely. See, actually, the real cause is elsewhere. The real cause is because we are bound to something else. So supposing, even in the family itself, between two things, between siblings, between brother and sister, between son and son, if you are attached to one, the other gets neglected. And there's a big problem in siblings and also in families. So because our mind is attached to something else, we are not able to pay that much attention to God, obviously. So one thing is now we must try to reduce those bondages and also trying to sincerely, definitely you will feel. See, unless there's a deep inner, that kind of an attraction or prema, love for God, it's not possible to pray with such great earning, is it not? Many people come to your house. Do you treat all of them the same way? When some people come, you are so excited, you hug them, you are with them, you just touch them, you are be with them, you don't know what you will do for them. Why? All are your visitors only. So that depends upon where your heart is, there the actions speak for themselves. So if you don't feel that way, that means we have to struggle more and we have to find out where else the attraction lies. And that all, if those attractions diminish, then obviously the love for God will increase, definitely.
Thank you very much.
But you don't worry, whatever you are doing is fine. You keep it up. Don't allow that to die. That's enough.
Maharaj, I have one more question, Maharaj, if please.
Yeah.
Maharaj, দুটো কোয়েশ্চেন, একটা যে বললেন মন প্রাণ দিয়ে প্রার্থনা করবে, ওটা একটু যদি আপনি বোঝাতে পারেন। আর আরেকটা কথা, that what Swarna was saying, that we don't have that vakulata, so we should pray with sincerity for their grace to give us that vakulata, isn't it?
Yeah. Thakur himself says, you tell God, I don't know how to pray, teach me. Thakur says that. So you see, the point is, Mita, the whole thing is, unless the unreality of the world is very clear to us, the life that we lead is absolutely worthless, meaningless, unless it is very clear to us. It's not possible to turn very positively towards God. It's not possible at all. But then, any effort will be only taking you in that direction. Whatever you do, you do. We try slowly to increase the number of hours, the time spent, and reduce some of the other engagements.
This is actually
happen over relentless, anemic, and very targeted, and over a period of time. But it's a matter of great joy and blessing that you are in spiritual life, you are interested, you want to pray God with intensity. That's a great, wonderful idea.
Now it is
and God will bless you. But you must allow the time and the circumstances and everything to, kind of coalesce and come into operation. So you wait for that.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Maharaj, thank you for your time. And next class is on 1st of December. So as of now, that's all right. You are available, isn't it?
Yeah. Namaskar.
Pranam Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Namaskar.
Namaste, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
Namaste.
Namaste.